Welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Football RPG. I'm Mike, that's Evan, and tonight we are going to preview the 2026 Dynasty streets. We're going to be going through quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and we'll shout out a couple of tight ends. But if you are looking for a Brock Bowers, or dude, even if you're looking for a Tyler Warren, a Colston Loveland, maybe just don't in 2026. I hope you got your tight ends already, but Ivan, how do you want to – we should probably have talked about this ahead of time. How do you want to do this? Quarterbacks, and then we'll go 5-1, or do you want to go 1-5?
No, I mean, I think we should have relatively – well, I don't know. We'll find out. I would go 5-1. Let's build a little suspense to it.
Yeah.
Well, and then maybe at the end we can shout out some guys that just missed top 5.
That sounds good. How about we do your 5? I think our top 5 is going to be pretty similar. And if we have similar guys in the same range, we can just say, like, you say you have your 5, I'll say, I have them at 3, and then we can just skip that talk later. So who is your 5 for quarterback?
Yeah, my 5 is Cade Klubnik. Probably get a lot of flack for this. The Clemson quarterback, former 5-star recruit, beat Quinn Ewers in the Texas State final back in high school. He was a 2022 class prospect. And he is listed at 6'2", 210. So, all things that you like to see. I actually highly doubt that he's really 6'2". I saw that he was just going to explain something here, Mike. All right. Like, I very much haven't watched a ton of films on these guys, going back and breaking it down. But I watch a ton of college football, as you know, during the season. So a lot of this is based off of data, and it's based off of in-game, watching them on Saturdays or whenever they're playing, because obviously sometimes they do play on other days of the week. But,
thanks for clearing that up.
Looking at him, I saw a guy that looked like he was kind of on his toes a little bit, which 100%. Caused him to lack some arm strength, pushing the ball really downfield. Of the guys, I have 17 charted, and he has the most passing attempts of the 17, just over 1,000. So, he's thrown the ball a ton in college. He is at a marquee program, which we love to see how players handle the spotlight. You look at the completion percentage, it's definitely lower than you want it to be. And then you look at what he's doing and what he's working with. Dude, this guy of the list, he has the best wide receiver group that he's working with this coming season. Like, the wide receivers make his job easy.
I think some of the Clemson wide receivers, like, they left some meat on the bones there, but yeah, you're talking about, not to give it away, but Penn State, LSU, like some other schools in those areas, like, he is a good recruit. But when we're trying to scout these guys a year ahead, you're looking for tools, room to grow, and if you drop them in the NFL right now, what would they do? I think if you dropped Cade Klubnik in the NFL right now, he is a serviceable backup, or I wrote one-word scouting profiles for each of these guys. For Cade, I wrote, what if Bryce Young didn't grease up at Alabama? Like, what if Bryce Young wasn't a magician in the pocket? Is that a quarterback you want to bet on?
Yeah, no, not really. You see some athleticism from him, definitely more than the number 4 guy on my list. So he's able to escape. He's able to, extend plays with his legs, which obviously you love to see at an NFL level. But the arm talent just isn't high enough, and size and traits, just there isn't enough of them for me to be pushing him that much higher.
Is that college football fans would be like, Cade Klubnik is one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And I agree with you 100%. Can he throw outside the numbers at an NFL level over his offensive line? Maybe.
We'll find out.
But I'm a coward because I also have him at 5. But real quick, can I give you my number 6, who I wanted to put over him?
Sure.
Avery Johnson out of Kansas State. 6'3", 96. I know he's a little light in the pants, but very mobile. Inside the pocket, he is just slippery. That's probably the best way to describe him. He has wheels. He can make guys miss. If he can clean up his mechanics, which is going to be a focal point of this episode for quarterbacks, we're talking about a guy, the arm talent is extremely apparent at times. The arm refinement is lacking severely. So if we see a big step forward from Avery Johnson, like we always see these guys, he's starting as a true sophomore at K-State. He's like leading the program and was able to push Will Howard out. I know he went and won a national title somewhere else, but if he can push someone like that out who's already an NFL quarterback, you see flashes of greatness followed up by just strings of what the heck are you doing? Like missing checkdowns, overthrowing deep balls. But in close games, to talk real quick about my process for this, you dove into the film, or not the film, you talked about like what you were doing, watching them during the college football season and then looking at their data. I truly like tried to push everything out of my brain from watching college football, which was hard. And as soon as you said you want to do this episode, I just threw on tape for all these guys. Avery Johnson has traits. You can teach the rest. So I would love to see him go for another year in college football, which is why I was like, he might just stick around with NIL money, develop a little bit more. I don't know if him or Arch Manning declare in 2026. Full transparent, did you include Arch in your list? Because I did not, because I expect him to go back to school.
Okay, so I didn't include Avery Johnson because I expect him to go back to school more than I expect Arch Manning to go back to school. Okay. And I pretty much expect Arch Manning to go back to school. But because he is truly eligible and because he has the Manning last name, I do have him in my top 5 here.
Okay, I'll talk about where I would have him. Spoiler alert, it's high, but so I had Klubnik at 5. Who is your number 4?
Yeah, my number 4 is Garrett Nussmeier, 2021 class prospect, coming out of high school. Obviously, he had to wait between the sensation that is JD5 at the next level. You're looking at a quarterback that I have listed at 6'2", 200.
He's not 200. I'll bet a lot of money he's not. He's going to do the Bryce Young thing.
Yep. Yeah, that would not surprise me either, Mike. But we're talking about a senior quarterback that has the anticipation. But, man, there's just some throws that on Saturday I was watching, and it was just like, why are you doing this? Like, you are a veteran by most standards, not in gameplay, but veteran in being in college and being on the practice team or practicing. And why are you making the throw? Like, that is a question. But then he turns around and he makes the next throw. And you're like, oh, that's the NFL arm that I saw earlier right there. You see the processing when everything is clicking. And that's ultimately what I'm looking for right now is on his best tape, on his best days, on his best stats, what is he looking like? And Nussmeier is the type of quarterback that I think can stick around for many years in the NFL. Now, don't hate me for saying this.
Backup.
No, I was going to say like a Derek Carr.
Oh. I'd be happy with Derek Carr in the late first of my fantasy drafts if you're getting the whole career. That's what starting I'm saying. Quarterback like, sticks around. Yeah, not the end of the world. I wrote my notes for Nussmeier, so I have him at number 3, but 3, 4, 5, and 6. I was sitting here like, what am I doing? I don't know how I feel. I wrote, what if Kenny Pickett and Brett Favre had a baby and didn't panic? Because he never looks like he's truly rushing things. He looks like I've got this, which is a little bit of like, you shouldn't think that you have this. You don't have that level of an arm. He is talented. I think the zip coming off of his throws is a little more than Klubnik, which college football fans might be mad about that. But I think Nussmeier, he was a gunslinger quarterback. He was a 4-star prospect, rated as a pocket quarterback with the gunslinger tag. Like, it fits. He thinks he can make every throw on the field. And for a quarterback prospect, stealing this from the Ringer Fantasy Football Show, they're very funny and you should listen to them. If you're a quarterback, you either need to believe in God or think you are them. And I don't know which one it is, but he has a lot of trust in something because he is willing to try every throw on the field, which is why I have him. Like, you see the zips, you see the processing. There are just times where he thinks he can do something he can't, but an NFL coach should hopefully be able to get that out of him. I had him at 3. So who do you have at 3? Or do you want to hear my 4?
No, let's hear your 4, Mike.
All right. We talked about this a little bit before the show. I have Sam Levitt at 4. 6'2", 200. But when we talk about like an NFL arm, it's like you attached an NFL arm to a tiny little frame. It's so funny because his throws over the middle of the field, his ability to fit it in tight windows, like there are throws that Sam Levitt makes that you're like, oh my God, that was on a rope. But he wasn't the focal point of his offense because Scadaboo was there. We saw them make a title run and like they never truly leaned on his ability. I think that this year is going to be a really good opportunity for him to show I am the guy, I can do this. And because he was the high school class of 2023, like, there's still a lot of room for growth there. So I am willing to bet on a guy like Levitt to take the step forward, especially when he has a wide receiver group that is a little better than some of the other ones on this list.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. This was a guy, Mike, before the show we were talking, and I was like, man, I really just want to rate him higher, but I need to see more. Like, it is going into this season, and I think he could be one of the guys that makes the biggest jump in my rankings because I currently have him 7.
Well, so here I have your rankings pulled up. Sorry to everybody at home. Would you rather bet on the true sophomore heading into his true junior season making a jump, or super senior Carson Beck, super senior Garrett Nussmeier? Like, there's a couple of guys here that like we kind of know what they are because they've stuck around college football for a little bit. And maybe they have the Bo Nix, the Jaden Daniels, the true extreme 5th and 6th year options. Tyler Shuck, apparently. But it's more likely that the 20-year-old gets better when they turn 21 than the 23-year-old gets better when they turn 24.
Yeah, sure. No, 100%. We could talk about a bunch of those guys. We'll talk about some honorable mentions once we get through our top 5 here. But moving right along, my number 3 is Drew Aller. Obviously, Penn State guy. You know, I love watching Penn State every single week. I will not be missing a game.
I thought you had him at 1. What are you doing?
Man, not at 1. But you see the size, you see the ability, you see the arm strength, and I loved the fact that this past season he started taking more shots downfield. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that Colton Nicky is being able to get that out of him in this offense. Listed at 6'5", 235. It would not surprise me if he comes in heavier than 235.
That's a big boy.
Former 5-star prospect in the 2022 class, played 39 games. Like, we love that. That's a 2-year starter at Penn State going into his 3rd year as a starter. You very well could be looking at somebody that has over 50 games played by the time he is graduating college, which teams should absolutely love. You saw a big jump in completion percentage. You see the turnovers. Where are the turnovers? He protects the football, except in the Notre Dame game. Unfortunate. It happens to the best of us. But you look at what he can do. He can shake off tackles. He can keep himself upright in the pocket. He has legs to be able to extend plays. He is not a dual threat runner. All right. Whatever anybody tells you about Drew Aller, if they tell you that he is a dual threat runner, leave. Like, just stop the conversation because that is not what he is. Mike, you might hate me for this, but I see a lot of Big Ben.
I can see it. So my one sentence scouting report, I have him at 2, and because I think he has the tools, he has the traits, and we didn't rate Arch in this. What if Josh Allen had fear? So I said this on a way early preview when we thought he was coming out in 2025. The reason that he is not a dual threat guy, one, the hips are a little tight, so the Big Ben comp does make sense. He also, for someone that is Big Ben sized and we think he's Big Ben strong, there are times where he could extend the play, and there are times where he just doesn't. And I want to know why. I want to know, in this season, does he take that step forward? He's like, okay, I'm the senior, I'm the captain, I'm the number one guy. Like, we're doing this. Or does he continue to be, we've heard me talk about like a truck versus a trailer. Like, does he continue to kind of be a trailer quarterback where he's just along for the ride, following the running backs? If the receivers are open, I'll hit them. I want to see him be a truck. Be a truck, dude.
Receivers open.
Yeah, in Penn State.
Have you watched Penn State the last 2 seasons? Like
absolutely
this year is without question their best wide receiver core. Like hands down.
No, his receivers stunk, and that's why I have him at 2. I think. Here's a fun question: how many quarterbacks could you see going in the first round
next year? 5.
Yes. Okay, so all the way up to Klubnik, you don't see, or are you saying like 5, but then like some of the guys you've rated higher fall down, other people might take a leap, things happen?
Yeah, so I'm saying 4, assuming that Arch ends up going back, even though he's in my top 5. Like, yep. I think it is the 4 guys that I have in that 1 through 5 grouping, assuming that Arch goes back, and then one of the other guys makes a leap to be able to be that back end first round that somebody ends up getting, or the very, very beginning of the second round.
Yeah, I think 4, 5, if we're including like top 40 picks, 6 could be fun, especially with how teams dealt with the 2025 class. They were just like, I'm good. I'll be all right.
And look, Mike, I don't know how much you've looked ahead even more, and obviously it's a dangerous game, but
2027.
We look at 25 and you get very discouraged by the quarterbacks. You look at this class, you start to get excited, and you realize then 2027, there really isn't many sure things. There is one sure thing quarterback, in my opinion, in that class right now, as it currently stands. So if you start projecting ahead, essentially you're getting this quarterback class bracketed by what I expect to be 2 down quarterback classes.
Which is why we could see more guys go back to school to try and play the game of, well, like I declared in a worse class. So is it better to be Jackson Dart in 2025 or Jackson Dart in 2026? Better be Jackson Dart in 2025, brother.
We'll see. Yeah. Also, teams seem to be liking the games played out of these quarterbacks, so they want to see more experience at the college level. They are less afraid to take quarterbacks that are a little bit older. But Mike, you already hit on your 3, right?
5 Klubnik, 4 Levitt, 3 Nussmeier, 2 Alar.
Okay.
So Arch would be in this 1-2 range. I think what's important is we're talking about this from a dynasty fantasy football perspective. Arch has wheels, and I think his last name is going to make him be the 101 in whatever class he declares in. I think Sellers is more valuable for fantasy football.
Oh, I'm 100% right there with you.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Not bearing the lead. Mike said he didn't have Arch ranked because he very much expects him to go to 27. I had Arch at 2. What is there to not like out of the very small sample size that we've seen? The very, very small sample size that we've seen of him on the field has been incredibly promising. You've seen pretty much everything that you want to see out of somebody getting their first handful of starts. He was used in games already, which getting him in games as a very young quarterback with Quinn Ewers already there with the pedigree. Obviously, he kind of stunk it up this past season. But Arch being able to get in the game, knowing that he's at a blue blood program in Texas. But we both had the same number one. To not bury the lead, it should be LaNorris Sellers.
Yep.
Look, we're talking somebody that was in the 2023 class, super young. I think he's 19 right now. Was only a 3-star prospect. So you've seen the maturation. You've seen him grow up. Listed at 6'3", 242 is what I have right now.
Yep.
Only 15 games played. All right. So getting a full season under his belt this coming year is going to be incredibly important. But the very small sample size, one of the things that I want to mention of the quarterbacks that I have scouted here, he is one of 2 on my list that has above a 50% completion under pressure percentage.
Dude, he's unflappable.
Like he will stand in there and take a middle linebacker to his chest and deliver the football.
Yep.
I love that. You start talking traits. He's got the size. He's got the speed. You look at 148 rush attempts, 6.1 yards per carry from a quarterback. Like these are fantastic numbers that South Carolina has a rather tough schedule this season. So you will definitely get to experience LaNorris Sellers going against solid defenses. You will get to be able to see what he does. Also, Mike, who has South Carolina had at wide receiver?
Dude, Nick Harbor, elite.
Yeah, sure. Nick Harbor. Okay. So LaNorris Sellers, this is the other thing.
What about Juice Wells? Juice Wells.
This is the other thing that I really like about him is he is playing with lesser talent around him, which if you're going to be a top 5 pick in the NFL draft, most likely you will be doing that. You will be the franchise player off the rip. You will be playing with lesser talent around you, just how it works. So we've already got the college production. We've already got the college ability to be able to do that and succeed. Like, heck, LaNorris Sellers almost led them to a playoff spot last year.
For South Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is bonkers. Look, the one sentence scouting report I have for LaNorris Sellers. What if Dante Culpepper was also fast? He is, like you talked about, his throws under pressure, crazy. His ability to maneuver the pocket. I don't know if it's the Will Levis corollary or if it's the he's so confident corollary, but there were times where it appears that he does not feel the pressure. And that might be because he truly doesn't feel it, because he doesn't know it's there, but it doesn't matter because he's 242 pounds and just shrugs them off and moves on with his day. Wild me that he was a 3-star prospect, because did you know he also played soccer in high school?
Crazy. Two-sport athlete. We love two-sport athletes.
He was a varsity dual goalkeeper and striker. So he would take turns protecting goals, and then he would take turns scoring goals. He was player of the week for his high school a couple of times for soccer. Fun fact. Just an enormous human being with a rocket of an arm who is very fast. It sounds like Anthony Richardson. It's just, what if Anthony Richardson actually had starts where he looked effective under pressure?
Sounds like Cam Newton.
He could be.
If he can develop a little bit as a passer, he could be looked at as Cam Newton. Because, look, Sellers still does have a lot of room to grow as a passer.
Absolutely.
He is a fantastic runner, and he is a below average NFL passer as he currently sits.
It's one read and go right now.
If he can be able to get to average or even just barely above average as an NFL passer, this is going to be a guy that could be elite for your fantasy team. 1,000,000%. I was trying to look up. Did you know he has
4.6% of his plays were turnover-worthy plays. His pressure to sack percentage, 19.1, which I think that's lower than Jaden Daniels. I think that's lower than Bo Nix. I think that's lower than a couple of guys that have ended up pretty okay in the NFL. And he's doing that as a true sophomore in the SEC. I love him. This is the exact kind of quarterback that I always fall in love with. And however many Anthony Richardsons I get burned by, I will find some other guys you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, some other guys to shout out. Look, I get Carson Beck left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, but he is a guy that if he is kept clean, he is a good passer. John Mateer. John Mateer took the college fantasy football world by storm last year. Is he going to be able to continue that at Oklahoma? Look, there's times when you put on John Mateer tape and you're like, oh, this guy throws dots. And then there's times then you're just like, how is he throwing a football? Why is he throwing a football? Like he is wildly inconsistent. What's
funny for Mateer, I don't even like. There are some mechanics issues, obviously, but 6'1", 219. Let's check his hand size. It might be. He might literally like. This isn't trying to throw shade. Like his hands might be too small for the football. I want to talk about your next guy.
Ooh, Nico?
Say his last name.
Nico Iamaleava?
Close enough. If there's one guy that makes us look dumb, I think it's Nico. I also had him outside my top 6. The traits, which is what we're looking for a year ahead, and when you're trying to evaluate what these guys could turn into. He runs like a gazelle. There are times where he's a cannon of an arm. He's 6'6", 215. Let's throw 10 more pounds on him so he doesn't look like Kevin Durant. Like, there is a world where Nico takes a big step forward.
Can he hit a deep ball, Mike?
Absolutely not right now. For someone, he can
doesn't
throw
make
it.
Any sense.
He can throw it 72 yards. His receiver ran a 10-yard out.
It'll be 10 yards away from the wide receiver, and he threw the ball 72 yards. Yep.
If he can clean that up, that would be fantastic. It's hilarious to me. I have never seen a quarterback complain about the Tennessee system. But yeah, there's a world where he turns it around and makes everybody look silly. There's a world where he completely flames out and becomes a fun anecdote to history. Any other quarterbacks you want to talk about?
No, not really. Dante Moore, I think, is going to reclassify to 27. Just don't think there's enough starting experience there. Fernando Mendoza is a good feel-good story, but I don't think he's going to be nearly high enough.
Diego Pavia.
Feel-good.
Taysom Hill 3. All right. We'll be back after a quick break. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't do drugs.
And now it's time for a quick break. We shout out sponsors, but we don't have any, so like, subscribe. Check your phone. Pause and go use the bathroom. I don't know. But, alright, should go back to the show.
All right, now we are back, and we're going to be talking about the 2025 crown jewels, which were the running backs. The 2026 class, Evan, off the top of your head, better, worse, the same?
Then 25, it's worse, but it's pretty hard for any class right now to hold a torch to the 25 class. So
I'll say, okay, let's use 2024 low bar, 2025 high bar. I think this is comparable, if not better than 2023. Maybe. We'll see if somebody takes a step forward.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
All right, starting at running back 5. I'll let you go first for quarterbacks. Can I go first now?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to make you very mad. Jaden, I'm back. I'm so back, baby. 6 foot, 205. I just need everybody to look at his 2023 tape and then look at his 2024 tape and take into consideration that college is fishy at best when talking about injury news. It looked like something was sapped out of him, and it was not the true Jayden Ott. Now he goes to Oklahoma. He gets to have a big year there. He's playing in a little bit more of a more fun offense, surrounded by better talent. Yes, the competition is going to go up, but I think when rushing lanes are open and Jayden Ott is healthy, the speed is there. He's a little more wiggle than you. Just a straight line guy. There were a couple of names behind him that I wanted to put in front of Ott, but I think if one guy made the right call by going back to school, it's Ott, because the 24 tape, it could have been an Ollie Gordon downfall. Now he gets to have a comeback, look a little bit better, have some more fun at school. How do you feel about Ott?
I mean, last year's tape was awful. Seeing him on the field, he didn't look anything like the 23 version. So that definitely brings into question. I know you're in my rankings, Mike. You'll see that I have him as a not ranked right now. And that is only because I don't know which Jayden Ott is real. Is the 23 Jayden Ott real? Is the 24 Jayden Ott real? Is it somewhere in between? You know, I very much need to see this season. He is somebody that should be ranked. I currently don't have him in the top 12 because, frankly, I just don't know what to make of him. There's so much volatility there that, well, what do you do?
Look, I am fine saying I've seen enough to know that Jayden Ott can be good. I've also seen enough to know Jayden Ott can be completely terrible and make me look like an idiot a year from now. But the traits are there. And summer, year ahead, I'm looking for traits. There's some guys behind him that we'll shout out a little bit later. I think that Ott is one of the few guys in this class that you can say, yes, he can be a 3-down back. If he's not a 3-down back, he still has a role at the next level. I still believe.
Okay. Well, we're in the same boat then with still believe because my number 5 is CJ Baxter coming off of a devastating knee injury. But look, 2023 class. All right. We got a 6'1", 220-pound running back. Was, if I'm not mistaken, the top running back in his recruiting class. Five-star prospect. You look at him. Obviously, he played as a true freshman. Like that is something that you don't see very often from running backs. You pair that together with 61.4% of his yards being after contact. I like seeing that number above 60. It's pretty hard to not get that number if you're a decent college running back. The missed tackles forced. That's the area where he needs to get better. And going back to his true freshman season, it almost looks like he was just trying too hard to try and be like, oh, let me chop my feet. Oh, I'm tackled.
Yes.
Like he is trying to set up a defender, which he did in high school all of the time by doing that exact same thing. And now he's at another level. The players are better. The guys are meaner around him. They're faster. They're stronger. But once again, we have the Blue Blood program. And then you also look at yards per out run. Typically, I want to see my running backs being over 1 for that. And he comes in at that 0.98 yards per out run. We've seen him in the receiving game. He's definitely not a liability in the receiving game.
Mm-hmm.
Is he a plus receiver, though? No, probably not. But he can get the job done if you ask him to catch a ball out of the backfield.
Yeah. He's my RB4.
Okay.
No, you said that he's 220. Have you checked the Texas website recently?
No, not recently. I did hear that he was listed a lot higher coming into spring ball, pushing that like 235 range.
He's 232, baby. So what I want to see from CJ Baxter. So I think it's cool you talked about he played snaps as a true freshman. Who he was playing snaps against, Jonathan Brooks, who, say what you will about his NFL career so far, he's dealt with weird injuries back to back. He was a top 50 pick, and they were taking Brooks off the field to put Baxter onto the field as an 18-year-old. If that is not a good sign for what this guy's future holds, I don't know what it is. 5-star, played varsity snaps at Edgewater High School in Florida, which is like a football hotbed. He did that as a freshman. So he's used to being the youngest guy on the field as he was in Texas. He was a running back / safety coming out of high school. So already he at times tries to get the TikTok highlights. He tries to do the chop your feet, chop your feet, chop your feet. And then he's like, oh, wait, I got hit by 2 people. How did that happen? So if he comes back from injury and just decides to be like, you know what, I'm the biggest, baddest dude on this field. The 12 pounds that I gained is good weight. We're talking about somebody who's going to be a top 50 pick, a difference maker. I think that Baxter can make that leap given his pedigree. This is all projections because what we've seen on the field right now is an 18-year-old adjusting to college football. We could see a 20-year-old that has already figured it out because he's been watching it. So, who's your 4?
My 4 is Jonah Coleman. Did you watch any Jonah Coleman, Mike?
We'll talk about him later. Who's your 3?
Okay. 3 is Mekhi Hughes.
Okay, I have him at he's in the like 6-7 tier.
Okay.
I like
the ex-Tulane running back. I like Mekhi Hughes. He is not a burner. Like he's the type of guy that will probably get caught from behind. But
Absolutely.
he's going to Oregon. He was an incredibly effective runner at Tulane. He put that team on his back many of times. And I would not be shocked to see him go for 1,300 yards with Oregon this year. Like I think he is that good of a back, that he is that productive of a college back. And you look at the missed tackles forced, 0.25. So you wish that was a little bit higher. But I love the fact that when you look at the amount of rushes that he had as a zone rush and then a gap with the blocking concepts in front of him, 226 in zone and 287 in gap. That tells me that he is versatile. He's not locked into one of the two, much like Caleb Johnson was locked into a zone scheme. So all of that being said, he is versatile, unlike Jonah Coleman, who we'll talk about a little bit more later, apparently. But I think Jonah Coleman, much like Caleb Johnson, is locked into a zone scheme.
That's fair. My concern with Mekhi Hughes and why I didn't rate him higher, do you think he's a creative rusher? Like, do you think he creates a ton on his own or?
No, but I think he makes the most out of every rush that's designed for him.
Yeah, his missed tackles forced, like the numbers are pretty good, 0.25 per attempt, but it's not a lot of, I'm going to make a guy miss and I'm going to put my foot in the ground, get back up to speed and accelerate through the contact. It's more, I ran one dude over, then I ran into someone else. There's not a true, okay, I see how the defenders are lined up. I'm going to stack them, and I'm going to find a way through. There's no plan. It's just run straight, run fast, and I'm not that fast and I'm not that big. So I think there's a role for him.
So let's go back for a little bit here, Mike. Somebody who has been incredibly productive at the NFL level, who did that same thing in his college career in Kyren Williams.
We cannot use Kyren Williams as the example when evaluating prospects because Kyren Williams, it's just that Sean McVay loves him. I see where you're coming from, though.
But I'm just saying, Kyren Williams did the exact same thing when he was at Notre Dame in making the most out of every rush that he had, which is why I like Mekhi Hughes. He is going to do exactly. Yeah. That's exactly it. He's going to do exactly what the coaches are going to ask him to do, and you know exactly what you're going to be able to get out of him. You're not taking somebody that you're like, oh, okay, this is Shady McCoy, where he could lose me 10 yards, and then the very next play rip off a 50-yarder.
I would rather have Shady McCoy for fantasy than, a strong backup running. I think Mekhi Hughes is going to be a very good NFL running back that sticks around the league for a while.
He is a better Brian Robinson.
Dude, if he ends up as the only running back with a pulse on a team like Brian Robinson is, you're looking at a hopeful RB2.
Sure. I mean,
that's not my RB3 in a class. I'm looking for traits, baby.
Sure, Mike, I understand that. But like we said before, I just have a hard time being able to pick out exactly who that 3 should be. My 3, 4, 5, honestly 6, it is all just a jumbled mess together right now. None of them have separated from each other.
No, it's completely fair. I think, who's your 6? Well, we can talk about it now.
6 was Le'Veon Moss.
Okay. I haven't watched a lot of Moss.
From A&M. Okay.
Yeah.
The injury last season, that was tough to swallow. But you're looking at somebody who has the speed, has the power, to be able to make the plays. You look at him and how that A&M offensive line was absolutely gross. Like, the offensive line was horrible for A&M.
That's why I don't watch a lot.
Okay. Well, once again, you're talking about a guy that made the most out of his rushes and then also made something out of nothing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair. So, okay. I haven't done my 3 yet.
Okay, go for it.
It's your 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, all right. For those of you that don't know, Evan has Penn State blinders on and loves Nick Singleton for everything he is. I am the certified Nick Singleton hater, even though I have him at 3 and I think he's a good prospect. But this bit will never stop. 1-sentence scouting profile.
Stevie Wonder.
For a physical freak, he really plays like a smaller player. Dude, he's wildly fast. He's power cleaning. I think it was Feldman said he like power cleans 405. He's benching 405. He's squatting 600. Like, all of the muscle mass, the track speed, like, can jump out of the gym. What's his missed tackles forced per attempt?
It's not very good, Mike.
It's bad.
It's 0.18.
But
think about it.
When you have the guys.
Exactly. When you have the track speed, do you really need to try and change on a dime? That's also part of it.
But does he truly run away from guys that often? I think there are plays where it's on full display. He gets to the outside and he's like, I'm the fastest guy on the field. Goodbye, everybody. And there are plays where there's a safety that has a line on him and he's just like, oh, man. And he goes down 8 yards later, but it's like, dude, you have 30 pounds on that guy. You could also jump over him. You're also quicker than it. Like, there are so many ways you can beat this guy. Why are you letting him wrap you up and then you get caught from behind by somebody else? Be the best version of yourself. It's extremely frustrating because if you took, I don't know, let's take Quentin Joyner. Let's take Quentin Joyner's brain and put him in Nick Singleton. That's the best freaking football player I've ever seen.
No, you want to put Desmond Reed's brain in there.
Like
that. Have you watched any Desmond Reed? Sidestep right here for a minute. All right. Desmond Reed runs like he is angry at the world, and he does not have the frame to be running like he's angry at the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Or Darius Taylor from Minnesota. He runs like he is bigger than his size. He's listed like 205, 210, somewhere around there. He runs like I wish Nick Singleton would run. But I think he's going to be a combine riser. He's going to get drafted pretty early because a running back coach is going to say, we can make this work. If he goes to a Shanahan system, he's going to have 1,900 yards for 1 billion touchdowns. But if he goes to an offense that doesn't give him runways, We're talking about a guy who has problems with vision, who's not overly creative, who is struggling on the little parts of football. He took a big step forward in pass protection in 2024. I want to see him continue that and then just run angry. If he could just run, I don't know, like Jordan James, that would be sick.
Mike. Okay. Well, he is my number 2. You hit on a lot of things. He has the absolute burner track speed. He has the reception profile too. Like, he can run routes. He is asked to run routes in this offense. He does it. And he's one of those guys that you get the ball to space in the flat to him. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, he just picked up 8 yards because he takes 4 steps and he's accelerated from 0 to 60, picked up 4 yards. Good catch on the moth or whatever that was.
Yeah, there's like 3 bugs that are just driving me crazy right now. Be sure to like and subscribe for bugs.
But he eats up the space that the corners and the linebacker. If he's put on a linebacker, that's an absolute mismatch. There's no way that you should not be directly targeting him when he is on a linebacker in space. Even when he's on a safety, he's faster than most safeties.
Yeah.
So you put all that together, you get him the ball in space to be able to eat up the yardage that is available. I love that. Yeah, sure. He may go down with a stiff gust of wind. But at the same time, he is also a kick returner. So that is going to be valuable to an NFL franchise. You put that kind of speed back there. He is able to be able to break home run plays. Everybody loves a home run player, a home run hitter. Sorry, I just heard some thunder in the background here. So we got some thunderstorms down here right now. But look, is this a guy that if he can once again stay healthy, because that was the issue in 2023, 2023.
It was 23.
Yeah. The injuries, like, they just keep on nagging him. Even in 24, he had injuries that were nagging him through the season. Like, he just cannot stay 100%. Yep. If you saw Nick Singleton at 100% for 6 games, that would be a 6-game profile that would wow pretty much anybody around.
Yep. You know what they say about going from the college to the pros? It's easier to stay healthy. My number 2, and I said we talk about him later, dude, Jonah Coleman. I fucking love him.
I love him. It's great.
Dude, he's so good.
Yep.
Absolute load. I have 5'9", 229. You have the same. Just runs like the meanest mother fricker on the field. Like, you think about the Washington Huskies and you're like, oh, okay, like they had Penix, they like to throw the ball around, they have a couple of wide receivers that are exciting. No, it's Jonah Coleman taking the ball, it's 2nd and 10 and they hand it to him anyway, and he's running through right after he got hit, and he's running him over too, and he's running over their mama, and he's running over their friends. Like, he has solid lateral quickness for being a fire hydrant size.
Yeah. For being as thick and wide as he is, he has fantastic lateral ability.
I liked Damian Martinez a lot, and like that might put egg on my face because of the way the draft went. But like, dude, Jonah Coleman is everything that you wanted Damian Martinez to be, and like turn the sliders up to 30. Like, he is cooking. So
Mike, real quick here. In my data spreadsheets here, I have 74.4% of his yards were after contact in his college career. That is over 1,700 yards after contact. We have, over his entire college career, we have an average of 4.3 yards after contact per attempt.
Why do you not love him?
Some NFL, he's 4. I do love him.
But you should love him
It's
more.
the top end speed.
I don't need top end speed when he's constantly crushing off 40-yard runs. Like, yeah, he got caught from behind, but he also carried that dude for another 10 yards. Who cares?
Sure. And maybe I'm just looking at this different than you, Mike. I'm looking for those guys that are the home run hitters, not the guys that are consistently getting me those 20-yard chunk plays because they bounced off of 4 tacklers.
This is the Omari and Hampton debate all over again. But
Sure.
no, I think 2 through 4 are probably closer. I know I said 3 through 7 was a mess earlier, but like Coleman, Singleton, Baxter, it's like potential versus true mystery box versus I know what Jonah Coleman is. He's a damn good football player. And I'm okay making bets on damn good football players.
Yeah, I mean, look, Washington is going to be an exciting program to watch with Williams Jr. there at quarterback and the speed that he brings to that offense, paired with the downhill bounce off of you, punch you in the mouth, Jonah Coleman. It'll be fun for Big Ten football because we know Big Ten football loves to be smash mouth.
Yep.
So,
we already talked about. Let's do.
Bearing the lead here, the youthful man himself in Jeremiyah Love. Look, he was supposedly at about 60% when he played Penn State, and he drug multiple guys, would not give up. He found a way to get in the end zone. 2023 class, four-star prospect, 6 foot, 206. So a little bit on the leaner side of it. 29 games played, and Notre Dame does a fantastic job recently of being able to keep the workload down on their running backs. So there is going to be a ton of tread left on these tires come the NFL. 0.33 missed tackles forced per attempt. So 1 out of every 3 attempts, he's making somebody miss. Smooth out of the backfield as well. They don't ask him to do that a ton in the Notre Dame offense. We'll see if that changes with Carr back there. Expected to be Carr back there this year. A little bit less mobile, less downhill than Riley Leonard was last season. So all of that to keep in mind. Pretty balanced run gap. He can play very easily in either of them. Mike, the question for you is, do you think that you're going to have him higher than Omarion Hampton going into the 2026 season?
Oh, man. So it's tough because I did really like Hampton. I think the separator between Love and Hampton is that Love has an extra gear that Hampton does not have. Hampton has good top-end speed. Love he was a track star in high school with a sub 1100 meter dash. Like certified fast. He's also a hurdler. He's also a bruiser. He just has so many different options that can make a defender look silly. I think it's going to be Love. So if we were rating 25 and 26 combined, it's Genty, Love, Hampton, everybody else.
Okay. Look at that. We are in love with Love. He is fantastic. Notre Dame should be utilizing him significantly this season. Look for him to be healthy all season. That would be great to see a full season out of Jeremiyah Love on a blue blood program. But Mike, is it time for another intermission, or do you have some running backs that you still wanted to shout out?
Quentin Joyner, love him. Justice Haynes, if you're looking for the next possible James White at best. I drafted him in a devy league, so I just can't quit him. But how do you feel about Washington out of Baylor?
That is one guy that I need to get on my list. I have not watched enough, but in putting together my college football rankings, I know that he is incredibly productive.
I watched like 20 minutes. And all I can say, fun player. Like I need to watch more of him. I was watching him while eating dinner, getting ready for the show. He's fun. So couple of other names to know.
What do you think about Mark Fletcher down at Miami and then Desmond Reed at Pitt? Desmond Reed is one of those guys that I think is going to be that 6th round running back that is just going to hang around a roster, going to be able to catch passes, going to give you everything when you have him on the field. But he's just he is so small.
He's physically limited.
Yes.
He's somebody you said put him in Nick Singleton's body. He's the best prospect we ever
Yeah.
There are times where he's catching a swing pass and he should go out of bounds, but he has an opportunity to initiate contact, and
he's like, "Oh, there's a defensive end here. Let me see if I can run him over."
And dude, I love it. And correct me if I'm wrong, run the tape back. I don't think he's ever fumbled. So for an undersized back, he can be very useful on third downs. He can be useful on special teams. He plays with a fearlessness that you hope that your undersized players play with. He's going to stick around the NFL for a little bit, but is he ever going to get 9 touches a game?
Odds are no.
So, I mean, even if the starter goes down, there's somebody else that's going to get the majority of the workload. It might be a fun best ball dart if he goes to a good offense and he gets the pass catching downs, but not really betting on him. Fletcher,
6'2", 225. Can I sell you on some downhill running?
You're trying to sell me on downhill running. This tackle force per attempt is okay. Average after contact per attempt is okay. In watching Miami football, there was a noticeable difference between Damian Martinez and Mark Fletcher being on the field. Damian Martinez was a day 3 pick. So if you're projecting forward, if Mark Fletcher takes a big step forward, he could be a day 3 pick. So
okay,
maybe he takes a giant step forward, and I look like a goofball in a year. But any other running backs you want to talk about? Marion Peterson.
No, I don't want to talk about him. There's nothing in college that gives you any kind of tape on him to be able to evaluate.
But he does have 1 missed tackle force per your spreadsheet. So
sure, he does.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about wide receivers, and we'll give some tight end shout-outs at the end.
And now it's time for a quick break. We shout out sponsors, but we don't have any, so subscribe. Check your phone. Pause and go use the bathroom. I don't know. But, alright, should go back to the show.
All right, we're back for wide receivers. Evan, wide receivers. Better or worse than the 25 class?
Oh, no. Significantly worse as of right now.
Better or worse than the 24 class?
Significantly worse.
Better or worse than the 23 class?
Oh, gosh. All right, you got to give me a memory.
Here, let me pull up wide receivers drafted by year. All right, 2023. God, we're going back there. That was the JSA Quentin Johnson Zay Flowers class. So I think
I will take that class over this. Dude, if you want to tell me that this class is pure hope, this class is pure hope, Mike, because there's a lot of what if in this class. There is not a ton of I've seen it, this. And you're betting on certain things being there. You're also betting on the fact that the NFL historically loves to draft they love to draft wide receivers early and historically overdrafts them, as you were just saying. You are betting on a wide receiver that just has traits that is going to be taken. But from a production standpoint, from a production and talent together standpoint, this class just isn't stacking up.
I think, okay, tell me if I'm out of line here. The 2019 NFL draft class. Wide receiver 1, Marquise Brown at 25. N'Keal Harry at 32. Debo, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, all day 2 picks. Terry McLaurin a day 2 pick. But that's talking about the hits or the early drafted guys. I could see this class looking similar-ish to that, because do you just want to start at one? We have the same one. Let's talk about him, and then we'll just start talking about some names. Bottom line, if you take nothing else away from this segment, from this episode, wide receivers in 2026 have a lot to prove. That's not to say that they will not, but 2025 prospects are better, or you can trade those first and go get proven assets in your dynasty leagues if you're looking for wide receiver help. If you're looking for quarterback, or maybe a top-tier running back if you pick early enough.
But if you watch the other videos, watch our other sections here, quarterback, running back is what we're looking at most likely for the 26 draft. Wide receiver is most likely a 27 type of entity.
Yes.
It is much less a 26 type of entity. So if you can try and plan around that, if you have wide receivers that you want to go grab, we strongly suggest going to grab them, because you are having an absolute crapshoot as it sits right now in 26. So trying to plan around a 26 wide receiver class would be a fool's errand.
Yep. So one, we have Jordyn Tyson, Arizona State. One word or one sentence scouting report. Fuck it, Tyson's down there somewhere. Quote Sam Levitt. Dude, the catch radius is insane. He's leaving Big 12 defenders falling down when he's in coverage. He's fluid. He's like solid after the catch. He is able to high point the ball. He's able to split defenders down the field. He's able to jump over defenders down the field. Like, Jordyn Tyson's the guy. Other than that,
there's hope.
There's hope. So do you have anything else to say about Tyson before we talk about everybody else?
14.2 ADOT. Tell me you're a downfield threat.
Like, dude, he's a downfield threat, but also
2.89 yards per route run. Like,
we'll take it.
These are metrics that, I mean, you want to see your yards per route run over 2.5, hits it. You want to see your ADOT over 12, hits it. Like, these are things to make you a true deep play and also number one threat.
Yep. He's the dude. Like, 2026, you want to pick early enough that you can get him if you need a wide receiver, or you're hoping one of these guys takes a big step forward. Evan, who are you expecting to take a step forward?
Man, Eugene Wilson, the third. I have him as my 3 right now. You want to talk about a yak monster?
Yep.
That is Wilson for Florida. He is going to be Lagway's best friend. Get the ball to him, see what he can do in open space, see what he can do with the ball in his hand. 3.6 ADOT. Look at that, Mike. Tell me you catch the ball around the line of scrimmage. That is right there. But Wilson has that running back mentality with vision. He has running back vision as a wide receiver. So he is the type of guy that you are looking and saying, hey, he can play out wide. He can play in the slot. Realistically, I think he ultimately goes into the slot at the next level. I think that's where his vision and his quickness can be best utilized. So definitely shout him out. 85.7% of his 85.7% yards after catch versus total yards. That's huge. Like, it's there. Injured most of last season. So you want to see him be able to bounce back, but 5'10", 183, you don't see a ton of wide receivers succeed at that size. So hopefully he can get up to that 190 range. And then one other guy that I love, because we're going back to this Washington offense, because I think Washington's going to be a fun offense to talk about.
Are we doing it? We're doing it?
Yeah, Denzel Boston. Come on.
Yes. I have him at 4.
Yep, me too.
Okay. Dude, one sentence, but just turned into one word. Just big. Paul. Big fat. Like, plays with his full frame. He is able to separate, but like, he's able to box guys out. If we can see him take, that would be sick. As it stands now, like, he's looking like Keon Coleman out there, and that's okay. Without the exact same freakazoid nature, but a little more he can actually catch the ball when it's thrown to him.
Sure.
So,
I mean, Boston could be a second-round NFL pick.
Yeah.
And I would be perfectly fine with that. That is somebody that I can take in the second round of my rookie mock draft or my rookie drafts,
Yep.
and I can be happy knowing that I have somebody with size that is played almost exclusively on the outside, knows how to play as an outside wide receiver, can be a friend for a quarterback.
Yeah. No, I like Boston a lot. I think just the frame and the potential there. How did you feel about him after the catch? He didn't really move me emotionally, but
Yeah, I'm not super high on him, but I also don't think he's bad after the catch. Like, he can make a couple guys miss. He can utilize, his frame after the catch to be able to box guys out and then just have the defender kind of fall over because he boxed him out trying to go up to high point the football. You also look at the amount of college games he's played. I have him listed as 31 college games played.
not really.
But
like with Rome Odunze there, with Jalen Polk there, with Jalen McMillan there, like we're talking about 3 either highly drafted or currently productive-ish receivers in the NFL.
But last year was his first true season as a starter, and he absolutely burst onto the scene last year.
Yeah.
Like, people don't watch a ton of Washington football because it's so late typically. Yeah. Hopefully playing a Big Ten schedule will get them in some earlier games to be able to get Denzel Boston, some exposure on the national stage.
Sweet. So those are some guys you think are going to take a step forward. I think R2 is in lockstep, and it's Carnell Tate, Ohio State wide receiver. When in doubt, close your eyes, draft the Ohio State wide receiver. It normally works out. But second fiddle to a true freshman, man, I don't know. This Jeremiah Smith guy's kind of eating his lunch. But no, he's been stuck in a logjam of extremely talented Ohio State wide receivers, 6'3", 191. We're talking about good prototypical size, 5-star recruit. He's just been productive so far. He's not going to take this huge jump where we're seeing him, win the Biletnikoff, but we could see him be the wide receiver 2 for Ohio State, continue to compete for a national championship, get more eyes on him, see how he moves against real competition. And I just think there's a lot of meat left on the bone here because he's a good athlete. He's not a great athlete. He's a good athlete. I could see a little bit of a step forward in all of his metrics from like Buka leaving, and now he's able to be really the wide receiver 2 for the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay. I know this is going a little bit further down my rankings here, Mike, but Eric Singleton Jr.
I have him at 5.
Okay. All right. Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech does not produce wide receivers, so he transferred to Auburn. Holy crap, does that Auburn room have some dudes this coming season. But he will be one of the dudes in there. You look at him, best used in the slot. I think that is pretty obvious in my opinion. You look at his yak ability, and he's got yak, but he's also a downfield threat. He is a guy that gets downfield, stretches the safeties, knows how to set up safeties with his routes to be able to pull them off, to be able to open up things underneath for guys in an offense. That's the type of player that may get screwed over at the NFL level, in my opinion, because he can take the safety's attention deep to be able to open up the underneath concepts.
Dude, he's so fast.
He is. He's got speed to burn.
Nope. I think who does the Beast? I'm having a brain fart right now.
The Beast what?
Freaks list. Feldman's Freaks.
Feldman. Yeah.
So Feldman said that he ran a 4.34 in high school. So depending on how you feel about hand stop times, regardless, this dude can scoot. It's funny. 5'11", 190. I'm like, okay, he can play wide receiver. But when you were talking about Eugene Wilson, 5'10", 183, I'm like, that's never going to work. So also with how colleges write these guys down,
Sure.
Singleton's probably actually 5'10", 183, and Wilson's probably actually like 5'8", 170. So I think Singleton can earn a role at the next level, could be a best ball target. If he ends up in an offense and wants to scheme him touches, make him a part of a creative game plan, then we're talking about a player that we should be excited about. Until he gets that landing spot boost, which I try to stay away from in Dynasty. We're a wide receiver 5, and I'm good.
You're scraping the bottom of the barrel. Once again, this is a hope type of wide receiver class. You mind if I just rattle off some names that are just pure hope at this point, Mike?
Yep, and I still have my number 3 wide receiver, so we got to cover that at some point.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me name off these guys right now, and then we'll let you talk about some studs.
I hope it doesn't overlap.
Okay, all right. Evan Stewart, pure hope, has all the talent in the world, but
he's out for the season.
But just hasn't put it together. Exactly, he's out for the season. Does he medically redshirt? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. That'll be interesting. Mekhi Lemon. Talk about somebody that is
let's talk about him more. But like, dude,
a first down guy. Jacoby Lane. Jacoby Lane is a freak. He has the size, he has the traits, but where's the production been? The USC offense just cannibalized everybody because Miller Moss was a mid at best quarterback. And
don't say that too loud.
Okay. All right. Nick Anderson, hope.
Turns like a tugboat.
Absolutely just slam dunked his freshman season for Oklahoma. Then he was injured almost all of last season. Zach Branch, once again, speed to burn. You want to talk about a dynamic potential punt returner? You want to talk about
punt returner? Let's go, baby.
You want to talk about a wide receiver that's just going to take the top off of a defense, get a couple shots every single game. Kevin Concepcion. You want to talk about somebody in the slot?
Listen to 5'10", 175.
No chance.
0% chance. I like who were you just talking about? Kevin Concepcion.
Yeah.
I think there could be something there.
There's potential with him. Yeah. I mean, North Carolina State last year was just an atrocity. They were bad. They did not know what they were doing offensively. They did not have any kind of identity. So hopefully he is going to be doing better at his new home, new school. But anybody else? You wanted to talk about your number 3, Mike. So
I do. And we're a year ahead. This is all about traits, projection, and trying to find guys that you can see how they would fit into an NFL field and then what they can do for our dynasty teams if they do. Malachi Fields. If you've watched any UVA games, which I have watched too many of them, the quarterback situation, dude, it looked like you and I were taking turns at quarterback. Like they could not throw the ball down the field. And I think that actually let me like Fields a little bit more because there are plays where he has to full extend, double covered because he's the only player on the UVA's football program that has a pulse. And he is getting it done. He is able to move with the ball in his hands. He's mean after the catch. When the ball is in the air, he has that go up and get it mentality. Now he transfers to Notre Dame, so he's going to get a chance. You talked about how their quarterback's going to be a little more stand in the pocket, a little less Riley Leonard, Walmart brand Daniel Jones, which Daniel Jones is already Walmart brand everybody else. So let's get him a pocket passer quarterback that might be able to get him open a little bit more, and Jeremiyah Love so that he can be in single coverage. Talking about 6'4", 220. Yes, he was a 3-star coming out. I don't care about, recruiting numbers when they're bad. I think when they're good, NFL teams kind of hold them to that a little bit so that it lets them get a little bit of a boost. I think that Fields could burst onto the scene this year because of the change of scenery and because of the physical tools that we can see right now. Why do you hate Malachi Fields?
He was a high school recruiting class of 2021. You're talking about a old guy for college. You're talking about somebody who has to be the feature wide receiver because he's basically the only wide receiver with a pulse, and they're just force feeding him the football. I think he's going to have a very bleh year at Notre Dame. Looking at Notre Dame and what else they have at wide receiver, and you pair all that together, I just don't think that he's going to inspire confidence come NFL draft cycle.
I understand the Fields is old, and normally I'm the guy that hates age things. Dude, UVA had Malik Washington while he was there, and they just force-fed him. And then Washington leaves, and they're like, we need someone else to get the ball. So they bring Fields up, give him the ball. If he goes to Notre Dame and is not the feature wide receiver, he's going to fade into obscurity, and I will never remember his name again. But I had the pleasure of talking to one of the assistant coaches at UVA last year. He said Malachi Fields is a dude. I'm sure he's obligated to say that. I'm sure he says that about all of his players, but I was like, hey, I'd run this silly little fantasy podcast. Who should I be looking at? He's like, watch Malachi Fields. Like, watch him during our spring practices. Watch him during some of our game film. Watch him when he doesn't get the ball. Work ethic, absolute monster after the catch, all of the measurables. I just really want him to work.
Okay.
But also, if he does, this class is missing a lot of guys that have those traits. Fields checks all of the boxes other than being an old Bubba in a bad offense.
Okay. Going with one more guy that's just kind of don't really know what to do with him. Dane Key, Mike. Look,
dude, yeah.
Two seasons ago, like, I loved watching him at Kentucky. Last season, Kentucky was just so bad. It was painful to watch. So is he going to get a resurgence with Dylan Raiola now in his new home at Nebraska? I mean, we'll see if Dane Key can be something. To me, I liken Dane Key to Cedric Tillman, where maybe he'll have a game or two that he pops and you can get a third back for him eventually in the future. But I don't see enough separation skills to be good enough for the next level.
I mean, dude, he can track the ball down the field. He's got the big frame. There's a lot of mystery boxes in this class. I understand Dane Key being one that you want to talk about. I would rather bet on Dane than, all of the tiny little slot receivers that are running around college football that guys that are playing college fantasy football are like, oh, what are you talking about? This guy ruled. Like, I liked Ricky White for fun, but like Ricky White isn't a real NFL prospect. So.
All right, so last thing, Blue Blood program, we did not talk about him, Antonio Williams. I think he's the third best wide receiver on his own team.
I don't disagree.
Like, Wesco and Moore. I think Wesco and Moore are both better than him, just flat out.
I have no coherent thoughts on him because every time I was watching Clemson, I was just laughing at Klubnik standing on his toes because he's so small.
Okay.
I mean, what do you really want him to turn into this year? What is the best case scenario for Antonio Williams?
Best case scenario is he goes 75 receptions for 1,000 yards, proves that he's a true slot wide receiver that can play at the next level. Best case scenario.
Okay. So,
which, I mean, sure, it's in the range of outcomes for him, but the Clemson offense is going to be one of, if not the most explosive offense in football. And the two wide receivers behind him, technically behind him in the pecking order, are just the wide receivers that you would want more for fantasy. Slot wide receivers, unfortunately, are a dime a dozen. It sucks to say.
But that's Pop Douglas, baby. Elite.
But that's what they are. So, Mike,
Yeah.
anybody else at wide receiver that you want to talk about, or do we want to give a couple names for tight end? Because honestly, this tight end class it's hard to be able to pick out who is the guy. But there are some names to be discussed that should be household names if you've watched any college football.
If I were a 2025 tight end prospect, I would have gone back to school so I could be in the 2026 class. Because we were talking about guys, Elijah Arroyo, Aronde Gadsden, like some of those guys that went a little bit later, that if they'd gone in 2026, we're talking about them maybe as the second or third best tight end in this class. But, it's Eli Stowers. How do you compare him to, you're in a dynasty draft, you're sitting there 212. Is there a world where Eli Stowers goes second round to a team and you're like, yes, I want Eli Stowers?
Yeah, sure. He's an athletic tight end, so if he goes to a team that is not going to be asking him to be in line constantly, because he is undersized currently with where he sits. He is, if I remember correctly, a converted quarterback. So I do like that out of tight ends because they understand how a quarterback's thinking, which can make them a quarterback's best friend, which Stowers 100% is Diego Pavia. Best friend on the field. That is his go-to target. Look, he is the number one receiving option for his college team.
For Vanderbilt, baby.
It is Vanderbilt. But, it still number one option. Defenses are keying in on him. They will be keying in on him again this season. If he can fight through the adversity of defenses essentially game planning around him and Pavia this coming season for Vanderbilt, that'll give me a breath of fresh air. That'll give me some semblance of maybe he can find a way to be a slightly less athletic Evan Ingram.
So he could be Harold Fannin. Great.
Sure.
That's our tight end 1, baby, is our tight end 6 in this last class.
Yeah, give me Mason Taylor, give me Elijah Arroyo over him from this last class. Harold Fannin, sure. That's probably essentially where this is starting. But Kenyon Sadiq, Oregon. Look, this is the guy that if anybody from an athletic metric will pop, very much like Elijah Arroyo did this past season from a athletic metric, it's going to be Kenyon Sadiq. He has everything that you're trying to look for from a measurables standpoint. Just the production hasn't been there because Ferguson's been there. And newsflash, he was just drafted in the NFL rather high. So, he was covered up, but when he stepped on the field, he produced. He looked like a difference maker on the field. So it'd be really interesting to see him at Oregon. Max Clare, number one player on the Purdue offense.
Great.
The Purdue offense. Lovely. Transfers to Ohio State. So you'll see him in some big games. It'll be really interesting to see how the Ohio State offense utilizes him because historically they haven't been college production havens for tight end. And then Jack Endries transfers from Cal. Once again, he very well was close to, if not the number one option in that Cal offense last year. He transfers out, much like 95% of the Cal team. And he goes down to Texas to be a Longhorn down there. So you look at these guys, 3 of the top 4 that we just listed were the number one options in their offense, which I like seeing that out of my tight end. So it gives me room for hope, but we just haven't seen the production enough consistently, nor do they have the incredibly high-end athletic upside of some of the guys that we saw the mixture of last year.
Yeah, the Longhorns lost Gunnar Helm, and they said, what if we just got the exact same player? So welcome to Texas, Jack Endries. But are there any other tight ends you want to call out?
I really like Lawson Lucky at Georgia. I think he is better than Oscar Delp. Georgia fans may hate me for saying that. I am in the South, so I am surrounded by Bulldog fans all
Go
the
Dogs.
time. But Lawson Lucky, in my opinion, is the better tight end. He is the more natural tight end over Oscar Delp. But besides that, I don't really have anybody else to shout out at this point.
Yeah, tight ends get gross, wide receivers get gross. This is a quarterback and running back class as it stands now, but all sorts of things change throughout the college football season. So be sure to like and subscribe so you can follow around with all of our thoughts as these players continue to develop. Evan, this was a fun show.
Oh, yeah, I had a great time, Mike. Always appreciate it.
Dude, we super nerded out tonight, but that is 20-something prospects in an hour and a half. So if you've made it this far, you're a sicko, and we love you. And as always, Evan, I love you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the Goblins get you.